What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Chaotic Avenger Podcast, a podcast where I'm going to be talking about a wide variety of things. For this first episode, I'm going to be unpacking a lot of stuff for those of you that do know me. For those of you that don't know me, this will be a perfect introduction into not only what I'm going to be doing on this podcast, but what I do online in general. So before we get into all of that, I'd like to start off with an introduction. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Chris. I go by the Dark Avenger on YouTube and Chaotic Falcon on Twitch. So you put it together, I am the Dark Avenger known as Chaotic Falcon. And the things I'm known for most on YouTube is comic books. I do comic reviews, unboxings, I share my opinions within the comic book fandom. I have touched on media as far as TV and movies as well. And then over on Twitch, I'm a gamer. I love gaming. There are certain games that I stick with, that I've been a part of, that have been a part of my life for many years now. And then there are some new games that I do like to touch on every now and again as well. So that's basically what you can expect from me online as far as YouTube and Twitch are concerned. But something that I used to do a lot of was podcasting, and I really truly enjoyed sitting down and sharing my opinions on whatever. I had a wide variety of podcasts that I was either a part of or that I had done in the past, and then obviously those podcasts are no longer around. For those of you that don't know, I took a break. I took a break from doing anything on the internet, YouTube, Twitch, everything, for a couple of years. And that's due to personal reasons. A lot was going on in my life, and I had to take a step back and get things settled before I could move forward with doing work on here. I didn't want it to bleed off into my work online. And like I said, needed a good focus. However, as time has moved forward now, things have been getting a bit easier. I'm able to now get back to the things that I love doing most, which is entertaining and informing when it comes to comic book media, and also podcasting, which is something I really did love doing. I enjoy radio. I enjoy being able to be a part of as many platforms as I can. So I did do a test. I decided to start a podcast called The Ringside Warriors. And it was supposed to be me and a couple of friends getting together and talking about the goings on WWE, the Monday night Raw, SmackDown on the Friday nights, NXT, and then, of course, the pay-per-views. And I did that for a while, and unfortunately, I did not have anybody really hop on with me. 90% of the time, it was just me doing the podcast. And what I did find out is I do still love podcasting. The only reason I ended up ending abruptly the Ringside Warrior podcast was, number one, because nobody was able to make schedule or was able to keep up with WWE. And then number two, I noticed that I started falling into a trend of, instead of talking about what was going on in the events, I literally was doing a walkthrough of what was happening on Monday Night Raw, on SmackDown. I ended up dropping NXT and then the pay-per-views, and I wasn't liking it anymore. I was loving doing the recording, but I wasn't liking where the podcast was going, because it started to sound more like a walkthrough of the events than me sharing my opinions on the events. And that's widely probably because I didn't have somebody to talk with and have a true discussion about what was going on in WWE. And then also there was a lot that was leading into WrestleMania, and things kind of went off the rails, and I started to kind of fall back on my watching as well. So there were a lot of factors to why I stopped Ringside Warriors. However, I did realize, and I did get what I wanted out of that podcast, and that was to figure out that I did love podcasting still. I still wanted to do a podcast, maybe not centered only around wrestling, but I did have this podcast as well as another one, which I will talk about. I had the want to do these. So that is why we're here today with the first episode for this podcast, and in the future we'll be back with another. I'll be back with another podcast at some point. So with this podcast, the Chaotic Avenger Podcast, this podcast is going to center around a wide variety of things. This is going to be gaming. It's going to have stuff going on the internet, whatever's going on out there, and all the fandoms, because I am a part of many fandoms, not just gaming and comic books. So we're going to touch on a little bit of everything with this podcast. And then also I'm going to throw in a little bit of my life also, because I've always wanted to have a podcast where I could sit down and just talk about life, the stuff that I'm enjoying, maybe doing YouTube, like not something that has exactly a specific thing, but it encompasses everything that I'm a part of in a way. And there will be comic books on here a bit. However, not as much. Comic books will be maybe a 5% on this podcast. And there's a reason for that. And I'm going to talk about that later on in this episode. But there's a reason why I'm not going to be throwing a lot of comic book stuff into this podcast. But yeah, this is going to be centered a lot around my life, whether it be things I talk about from my past, things I'm looking forward to in the future, things that are going on currently. And if that worries somebody, or some bodies, I should say, that are listening to this podcast wondering, oh, is he going to be talking about anything? You have every right to be worried, for sure. However, I guess you're just going to have to sit at the edge of your chair and wait and see what happens, aren't you? But no, I'm going to be talking a lot about things like things that have inspired me, things that have motivated me, and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm going to talk about things that have been going on. And I am going to talk about actually why it's been so long, because I've been away from YouTube. Like I said, I've been away for quite some time, several years, due to stuff going on in my life. And we're going to talk, that's actually the main topic of this first episode also, but we're going to get into the main topic after I do the intros and everything and the setups. But that is going to be the main topic of this first episode. Why I've been away for so long, what took me so long to get back, and then where I'm going moving forward. But yes, I definitely still love podcasting, like I said. And I think this will be a good creative way for me to kind of share not only stuff that's going on in the fandoms and sharing my thoughts on media stuff, but also kind of share a bit of my life, which is something I used to do all the time on another YouTube channel called Brooklyn Boys 13. It was a site where, or a channel, I should say, where myself and my friends, we got together, and every weekend we recorded videos. We did a series called 360, which is where we talked about what was going on in our lives for that specific week, what we were working on. And I really did enjoy that show, because I feel like it did resonate with a lot of people, and a lot of people felt that they can relate with us, that, you know, they're watching these people sitting and talking about what's going on in their lives, and it helped inspire a few people. I would like to think. I can't 100% tell you it did or didn't, but to us it meant something, to our viewers it meant something, so why not make a podcast about everything going on as well? And I'm sure that there are a few nosy people that want to know a few things that are going on in my life for all the wrong reasons, but I'm doing this for the people that want it for all the right reasons. They want to have some entertainment and some fun while they're driving or while you're cleaning your house or whatever. And you don't have to worry about watching, because this is a podcast, right? All you have to do is hit play and just sit back and listen. So another thing, since I was talking about comic books, I'm going to throw this teaser out there right now. I am working on an idea for a comic book podcast. Yes, I am working on trying to bring back the Dark Avenger podcast, which originally was a live show, which then turned into a podcast, which is where I sat down and talked about just comic books, comic news, comic media, comic books, everything. However, I do have to figure out, and that's why this is a teaser more than it is this is coming very soon. I have to figure out what I want to do on the podcast, because I don't want it to be similar to my reviews. I don't want it to be similar to my news episode, like my news videos when I do news videos. I need it to be something different. I want it to feel different, so people don't go, well, I saw this in this video, or, oh, I saw him review it in that video. It has to be something different. And that's what I'm deciding on and working on, is something different, or something, at least, while it might be similar to stuff I'm doing on YouTube, something that I can post anywhere else, where people who don't watch my YouTube videos can still get the content I'm doing on YouTube through this podcast, through this comic book podcast. So I am working on ideas. I I don't have a date or even an idea of when the first relaunch episode will be coming out, but hopefully it will soon. But till then, we have this podcast right here, which is going to encompass everything. So I will still be talking about comic books. I will still be talking about, by the way, for those of you worried about Ringside Warriors, I'll still be talking about wrestling a bit because I have kept up. I will definitely touch on everything. I want to try to touch on a little bit of everything so it kind of piques the fancy of everyone listening. And at the same time, I mean, we all have multiple things that we are interested in. And at least it'll give everybody who's listening, something specifically to listen to while also bringing in aspects of, like I said, my life. I'm also mulling over a third series, which would not just be me. I don't want to even mention the name right now because it really depends on the people that I've been talking to about it. But I did talk with a few of my friends over on VR Chat. VR Chat has become a huge part of my journey while I was away from doing content on YouTube and all over the internet, because I made a lot of really great friends there, and a whole community kind of sprung out from VR Chat, a whole group of new friends and a whole group of people who have very like interests to myself, other than comic books, of course. We all are far and in between when it comes to comic book fans and whatnot. The movies have helped, but I've made friends who have a very close liking to a lot of the things that I'm into. And we did at one point talk about wanting to do a VR Chat-esque group podcast, and we'll see. We'll see if in the future it might be something I talk about on here. However, I don't want to give anybody the wrong idea. We are not doing it. It is not even in the Dark Avenger podcast phase where I'm just trying to figure things out. It is literally just a title on a piece of paper, and we have nothing scheduled for it, nothing at all. So to be honest, it's literally a title. I'm just throwing it out there because that's stuff that's been mulling around in my head for the past while I was trying to figure out if I still liked podcasting. And then I found out I do love podcasting still. So now, Dark Avenger Podcast first, this other podcast maybe later. Again, it depends on my friends too. I'm not doing that one alone. That one is meant to be a group. So with all the introduction stuff out of the way now, I feel I've covered nearly everything I wanted to outside of the main topic of this episode. So we're going to go into the main topic of this episode, this first episode. Why have I been away so long? What have I been up to? And what do I have planned next? Because I've done several things to try to get started again. And honest to God, guys, the first and foremost thing that comes to my mind is I'm trying to find the motivation again. I've restarted the comic review. I did Ringside Warriors. I tried, I brought back Dark Avenger Live, and I have a whole outline planned for Dark Avenger Media, which is formerly known as Dark Avenger C86. And honestly, there are just times where, because of what's going on in the media and everything else, there's a lot going on in the world itself, and then also my own personal life, trying to get over all the crappy stuff that's happened over the past couple of years. It drains the motivation, and it really hurts the creativity. And I've had several friends say, you've been through a lot, a lot's been going on, and you're trying to figure out, do you want to bring the old stuff back? Do you want to do something new? Do you want to kind of bring a combination of the two back? And it involves a lot of overthinking. I am an overthinker. I've always been a huge overthinker. And I have been keeping up with the comic book industry, though, and I know there's a lot of people out there that either are saying that the comic book industry is going to fail within the next year, which they say that every year, and yet it's still around. Others that are still very upset about, as they say, quote-unquote, pushed agenda, bad writing. Some people are just super happy with everything going on. And I will say that for the reviews that I've done, the 2 months worth of reviews I did before I had to kind of stop for a little bit, I was enjoying everything I was reading. There was maybe 1 or 2 books I dropped, and that's normal. I did that back when I first started doing comic reviews. I drop books all the time. So it's not something that's like, oh my God, I dropped a book, It was normal. So it's not like it's abnormal for me to drop one or two books here or there, but I was enjoying what I was reading. It's just all of a sudden that motivation would just die because something would happen and or something in life would happen and it would suck the not just the motivation but also just the ability to want to do it because I'd be tired or I couldn't find the energy to do it. And it frustrated me because I know what I want to do and I know what I love doing, several years back. I know I want to get back there, but it's like I've got to find that. I was trying for so long to find that spark to kind of like to rekindle that fire that I had going into doing my channel to begin with, getting into comic book media. And, there was a time where at the very beginning, I was like, do I want to come back? What is my motivation to come back? Why do I want to come back? And I wanted to come back because I still feel like there's so much I want to do, not just in comic book media, but in general. I have another channel called Dark Avenger Entertainment. I still want to be able to entertain people. This podcast is, yes, while it will be, me sharing my thoughts and getting them out there into the world, kind of thinking out loud with a crowd, so to speak. I want to be that kind of, I want to be able to do that. It's hard to put into words, but it's I want to entertain. To put a huge bubble around it, it's entertainment. I love entertaining. I love creating, and I love doing things that resonate with people, that give people inspiration to do their own thing sometimes. So I knew I didn't want to be gone forever. I knew I did not want to stay away. And honestly, looking back, and hindsight is always 2020. Ending my comic reviews back when I reached episode 500, I think was the biggest mistake in my life. I think I should have kept going. I had a lot of voices in my head, and when I say I had a lot of voices in my head, I had a lot of people telling me maybe 500 is where you should stop. Having a goal of having 1,000+ comic reviews is kind of unrealistic, which it really isn't. Truly, honestly, is not. And I just, sometimes when you have enough voices telling you or enough people saying that maybe you shouldn't and you're kind of getting burnt out yourself, you lean towards the thing that, you're feeling instead of having, instead of really stepping back and thinking about why you're doing it, why you did it in the first place. And looking back now, I would have been halfway to 1,000 because it's been about 5 years and I could kick myself. This is a huge lesson for all of you out there. Come to your own conclusions. Your friends' opinions are always valuable. Always listen to your friends and always take their advice. But in the end, I think Stan Lee said it best. If there's something you want to do, try to do it. And try to do it to the best of your ability. And if all else fails, if you're still enjoying it, if it still means something, even if it's to a small group of people, don't stop. I think my biggest mistake was I had too many people that wanted me or were kind of pushing for me to stop for one reason or another. And then I had other people saying, well, I mean, if you're getting burnt out, maybe you should consider doing something different, end this and do something else. And the overwhelming feeling of wanting, or being burnt out and wanting to kind of like stop for a hot minute. That's what happened. We ended up stopping the pod. I ended up stopping the comic reviews just to want to start them up again and again and again and falling under the kind of same trap. See, just like with the Ringside Warriors, I didn't like doing walkthroughs when it came to comic books. I wanted to share my opinion, talk about what happened in the book maybe a little bit, and then move on. And unfortunately, for some reason, I kept falling into the trap of walking through the books. And it just became boring for me. And now I'm working on ways to kind of get around that and do something different. We have YouTube shorts now. We have live shows. I have a series called Comics and Coffee where I can go even more in depth with books. And then there's a comic review. And I'm now working, behind the scenes trying to figure out how to do a review where you all are happy watching it and I'm happy doing it. And I have watched several other reviewers that are on YouTube now, and I've gotten several ideas from a couple of reviewers, and I am going to be implementing them in the future when the comic reviews do come back, and they are coming back. But it's just been a struggle. It's just been trying to figure things out. And then also on top of that, I'm working alone. I used to work with my brother. I used to work in a group. Uh, I've never really had to deal with many videos where it was just me, myself, and I. And now, I'm not part of that, part of a group anymore. My brother is no longer here as well. I am alone doing the editing, doing the recording, doing if it involves scripting or outlining, doing the outlining. I mean, I always did the outlining anyway. But it is just me. And for me, especially since I come from a background where I was either in a group or it was a duo at least, to now doing things all by myself constantly, all the time, it's different. It's very different, and different is okay. Sometimes you got to go out of your comfort zone, and being in a group definitely was my comfort zone. It's different, and getting used to it, and coming from where I came from in the past couple of years, it makes it even harder in a way between all the stuff. I don't want to go into super detail, but there were a few deaths in my family. And that was and these were not just any family members. These were very close family members. I made a video about my father dying. And there was that. And then, there was a TikTok video I watched once where it was a guy talking about his scars. He said, all the scars that I carry were not from my enemies. Every scar I got was from somebody that at one point said, I love you. That video resonates super hard because it's so true for me as well, because I've never been hurt by anybody who I considered an enemy. Most of the scars that I have over the past couple of years were from people who were either close to me or who at one point said, I love you to me. And getting over that and getting past the hurt stage, the then stage where, you hope that karma gets back at them, especially when it's people that you're so close with. Believe me, and I understand people more now, it's hard to get out of that. It's very, very hard to get out of that mental state, especially in the beginning. And then with certain other stages, you go through a depression and whatnot. And I'm quoting somebody else right away again. Greatest Showman, Hugh Jackman, the From Now On song, in the very beginning, he states, a man knows who is there for him when the glitter fades and the walls don't hold. That is so true as well, because when you are at your lowest, that's when the people who are going to stand by you will stand by you. And I, at one point during this whole break, was at my lowest. And believe me, I know the depression probably got very annoying and very stressful for some of my friends. A lot of them chose to distance themselves. Some of them stayed, even when I was bringing up the same thing over and over. Sometimes emotional and mental traumas, it takes a while to get out of it. And it did take me a while to get over certain things. And for those friends that stuck by me, and you know who you are, and those of you that didn't, you know who you are, I found out that during this little journey, who were my friends and who were either acquaintances or not my friends at all. And then I made a whole group of new friends, like I mentioned, through VR chat, through just kind of reaching into different areas of the internet while on my break and while being away, who actually wanted to see me more than anything get back on the saddle and just ride and take this to a whole other level, because they believed I can go even further than I was already at. And I agree. I believe that there were points and people and things that were holding back where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And now, more than ever, I have the freedom to go beyond where I was at, or try to go beyond where I was at. And that's what I kind of wanted to do. And, I'm just trying to, now everything's on my terms instead of what other people are telling me. A lot of the times back when I was doing YouTube, back before I took my break, it felt like invisible conditions. People told me, like, you should be making money, you should be, doing this, doing that. It should, you gotta do certain things on your videos to bring viewers in, which I don't agree. Also, I believe that if a viewer is going to come in, it's going to be because of the video, because of the entertainment, and not what they can get out of the video. And just, again, having too many voices telling me what I needed to do or how I should do things, it got frustrating. And to not have those voices anymore, not have those people saying what I should be doing or that I should be doing this or money, blah, 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 blah. I never got into making videos or entertainment or doing this for money. Money helps, as I've always stated. Money helps, and if there's a way I could get AdSense, or if there's a way I could get sponsored, or if there's a way for me to bring in a little bit of something through all these videos and podcasts and whatnot, absolutely. Would I do it? Absolutely. I would love it, because then I could take that money and put it right back where, I'm getting it from. Because any money I make here goes right back into content, goes right back into things. And yes, it will go a little bit to my kids. I'm not going to lie. A little bit will go to my kids. But a majority of it will go back into where it comes from. Because I want to be able to give the best. And that's what I want. I want to be able to give the most. First of all, I want to be consistent. That is the most important thing. And I want to be consistent with my videos, and that's been like the hardest hurdle at the moment. But I want to be consistent. I want to give the best product I can, the best podcast, the best video, the best media channel, the best entertainment channel I can. And any money that I would make, whether it be through Patreon, through PayPal, whatever, donations, all of that is going to go right back into this. But is it a necessity, going back to the main thing? No. I do this because I love doing it, because it means something to someone, or it will mean someone to someone, or it has meant something to someone. I love doing it for that reason. If I need to make money, I have other means to make money. Like I said, it helps, but it's not necessary. And that's where I'm just at right now. I am at a point where I'm just trying to grab consistency by the horns and get creativity flowing again. I want to be able to do more. I mean, I have a bunch of stuff lined up video-wise. It's all about having the energy to record it, having the energy to edit it and post it. And then, now with YouTube, you have thumbnails that you have to make. Believe me, you think it's a walk in the park, but when you're doing it all by yourself, thumbnails, edits, live shows, comment sections, video recording and editing, everything, all 9. I think I said editing twice, but anyway, having all of that and doing it by yourself, it's a lot. And it can get overwhelming. I won't lie. At first I thought, I could do it all. I could do it and I'll be fine. It's a lot, especially when you have to have the good thumbnails. You got to have the stuff that really grabs people's eyes and brings them in. It's something that is going to be a struggle for me, but I think that once I get a good feel again for making, the videos, making the content for like the thumbnails and getting it out there, I believe that once the cogs start, there's going to be no stopping it whatsoever, because there was nothing stopping me from doing all 500 of those comic reviews 10 years ago. Got them out there, busy week, hectic week, whatever, I was still able to do it. And I'm hoping that once I get the wheels moving again, that I'm going to be able to get that started once again and go beyond, like I said. And I have a huge friend group that is behind me, which is new for me, having such a huge friend group. I had friends behind me in the past, but having such a huge friend group behind me. And another thing is, a lot of people were like, you can't do this, you won't be able to do this. So I had that kind of like, oh yeah, let me prove you wrong. I still have a few people who don't talk to me anymore, who I'm sure still feel this way, and who are sitting back with bated breaths, waiting for them to be, air quotes, proven right, that either I quit, either I walk away, or things stay, as nothing. I still have them to prove wrong. Whether they're still watching or not is inconsequential to my end game. However, I don't have so many people that are kind of like against me anymore. So it's hard because I'm so used to, proving people wrong. Now I don't have anybody to prove wrong. Now I'm just proving all of the people that said I can do it right. So I am kind of being a little petty and going for the people that I don't talk with anymore, who always said that I couldn't do it, and thinking about, okay, well, I'm going to prove them wrong. So at least I have a little bit of that fire to prove them wrong. But in the end, though, it's 100% I want to be able to give the best product. And I need that motivation. I need that fire to come back. And I'm working on it. I'm working hard on it. And I'm hoping that doing this podcast helps, because I can't tell all of you how many nights I just sat there and went, what is it going to take? What do I need to do to just get that back, to start? Once I get started, there's no stopping. I know me. I know that once I get started, and once the consistency starts, and once the floodgates open, it's all go. And I think that there's a piece of me that is a bit scared, though. I'm not going to lie. I think there is a piece of me that's scared, and I don't want to say necessarily holding me back, but it's reluctant to start. And I think it's a piece of me that's scared of failure. Of course, we all are worried. We all worry about failure. But another piece of me is worried that because of how time consuming this is going to be, the time I'm able to spend with my friends and with everyone else is going to take a hit. I mean, it is. I mean, let's be real here. Editing, maybe not. I can edit while I'm hanging out with my friends. I can edit while I'm around the house doing whatever. But doing the videos, recording the podcasts, this podcast already is a half hour long, doing the edits, and, it's a half hour as a podcast, but how many takes did it take to get to this half hour? How many edits took to get to this half hour also? So, it's time consuming. Making content is very time consuming. And I'm watching a bunch of YouTubers say, I've got a year left. I've got 2 years left. A lot of them are quitting because they say it takes up a lot of your time. And I don't want this to take up all of my time. I still have a family. I still have my friends I want to be with. So I'm trying to find that sweet, sweet medium where I can do my content, get everything out that I want, but also not impact my time with others as much as I know it's going to impact, but at least not as much as other YouTubers, let's say, or other people when it comes to wanting to do content. But I want to make something of this. I don't want it to just be, whenever I feel like it. I want it to build back up again. So it is going to be time. I know in the very beginning, this is going to be very time consuming. But once the beginning is done, and once people realize, okay, he's back. And I have to say that word very, very finely, because I know there's this one person who made a comment once where he was saying, this is your fifth I'm back video. Ha ha ha. Yeah, okay, I never left. To be honest, I took a break. So I've always been here, to be fair. It's just I'm back after a period of time where I needed time away because motivation would die. Real life would hit, and then scheduling made it an issue to make videos. So I've never been gone. I've just been on break. So I'm returning from break. So if anything, we could say that this is a return from a break, but it's getting back and sticking back, where I don't have to worry about needing to take a break for whatever reason, where I don't have to worry about losing motivation because I'm not listening to all the negative stuff. I really truly feel, negativity brings you down. It really does. And my recommendation for anyone who wants to get into anything is stay away from the naysayers, stay away from the negative people who are saying, this is dying, this is horrible, this is going downhill, this whole community, whatever fandom or community it is going to be gone in another year or two. Ignore that. Because if I've learned anything in the time I've been away, every year I was hearing, this is the last year for fill in the blank. This is the last time this is going to be whatever. And guess what? 5 years later, everything's still the same. Everything is still here. Nothing has been erased. Nothing has ended. Nothing is gone. Things have changed. I mean, change is constant. but nothing is gone. So do not listen to the people who are saying that whatever you're into is going to be dead in a year. You'd be surprised. Unless it's a specific video game. Specific video games, I mean, I was let down with Anthem. My heart breaks still whenever people bring up Anthem. But games like Sea of Thieves, for example, those games, Sea of Thieves is at least 3 or 4 years old now. People thought it was going to be dead after a year. Still going strong, just launched on PlayStation. Hell yeah. Congratulations to Sea of Thieves getting on PlayStation and a whole new fan base and a whole new life once again to the game starts again. So don't ever believe people when they say it's done. Do your thing. Do what you want to do. And if it does happen, have a backup. Or if it's just for fun, don't worry about it. You'll find something else for fun. If by some act of crazy, insane chaos, things die for whatever fandom you're in, there's always something else, and there'll always be something else. So you'll find your way again. And that's what I'm trying to do. Finding my way again through all the hell I've been through the past couple of years. I mean, I've made jokes about, I picked Chaotic Falcon for Twitch because originally I was called Dark Avenger Gaming on Twitch. I chose Chaotic Falcon because my life absolutely fell into chaos for a time, and I came back from it and wanted to be the champion of chaos instead. And that's why Chaotic Falcon, the name, resonates with me, is because I came through and survived pure chaos in my life. And now I want to take that and I want to make it fuel me to move forward instead of having it be the reason why, or what people want it to be the reason why I quit. I don't want to quit. And a really, really, really smart man once said, you can't fail if you keep getting back up. You only fail if you stay down. I chose not to stay down a while ago. So now it's just getting back to it. And I know a few people are worried that if I get back to where I was, I am definitely going to go beyond. And I'm going to prove a lot of people wrong, which is why I'm sure a few people aren't watching me anymore for that specific reason. But that's what I'm going to do. That's where I've been. And my plan going forward is to get back to where I was and go beyond that. And where I was, believe me, there's time. There will be more podcasts where I will definitely be talking about those things, about the things that I went through and how I overcame a lot of different things along the way to get back to where I am now. So I do hope you guys stick with me. Next episode, we're going to be talking a bunch of stuff. We'll have a bunch to talk about for sure. There are a couple of games that are going to be getting updates. I probably want to share my thoughts on that. There's a lot going on TikTok, I will say that. And hopefully I'll have some stuff to talk about behind the scenes, getting my video making back up to date. But this episode, I'm going to let stew for a little while before we get the next episode out. I will be posting this on my media channel on YouTube as well as Spotify. I do have a Spotify, not channel. I don't know what you would call it on Spotify, but that's where Ringside Warriors were. And now where this will be going, where the Dark Avenger podcast will be going, and through Spotify, anything I put up on my playlist on Spotify goes off into all different places. So wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it be iTunes or for some reason iHeartRadio, YouTube, wherever, this is going to be live all across the board. So wherever you choose, I know Google Podcasts went out. I do want to say before I end, when it comes to Ringside Warriors, so this will kind of be the swan song for Ringside Warriors. I did enjoy WrestleMania. Every single match was great except the Uso brothers fight. I think that one was kind of... They could have done so much with that. I was kind of let down. Cody got to finish his story. Sting retired from wrestling in AEW. Sting was a huge part of my childhood. And it was a bittersweet goodbye to Sting. But he knew when to hang it up, unlike certain other wrestlers. So, huge thank you to Sting for being a huge part of my wrestling childhood. Moving forward, when it comes to WWE, though, I have been missing shows here, there, and everywhere. I do know that we've got a promising storyline moving forward, that's for sure. I'm glad The Rock has taken a step back. The Rock coming back or trying to be a part of WrestleMania was a huge reason why I got a bit turned off again when it comes to WWE. But from what the rumors and everything else are saying, now that WrestleMania is over, The Rock is, as he said on the Monday Night Raw following WrestleMania, he's going off into the sunset again. Good. I think that's where he needs to be. I hate that he took over the main event spot for night one. I think that should have been left for the Women's Championship. But again, this is just me talking. I'm glad The Rock got whatever he had in his system out. You know, Mr. Heel Rock or whatever, talking to the fans like we're idiots or whatnot. Cool. It's done. It's over. We can move forward. Damian Priest is the new World Heavyweight Champion, which is super awesome. I'm so happy for Damian Priest. Unfortunately, I know Rhea ended up getting injured, and now even though Becky lost at WrestleMania, Becky did win the title on, I believe it was this past Raw, through a Royal Rumble kind of esque match. I don't know. I didn't watch, but I do know that Becky is now the new champion for the time being. We'll see where it all goes. But anyway, everybody, I don't want to make this podcast too long. We're going on to the 40-minute mark. So look forward to a bunch of stuff from this podcast. Look forward to a bunch of stuff in general from this podcast. Till next time, my links to all my social media stuff are on my YouTube channel. They're on my Twitch channel. Check them out. I also have a Discord community. It is a strong gaming community with a little bit of comics. But if you're looking for a community to hang out with, talk with people, definitely something you might want to consider. Till next time, everybody, take care. And as I always like to say, keep reading, keep collecting. And I will see all of you really soon in the next episode.